Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is February 11th, 2026, and I am joined by Beth and Carl. I'm Brian, and something big is coming. At least that's what Matt Schumer has said in a recent blog post that they put out, and Carl shared it with us internally this morning, and so I took a moment to read it. And as we get into the news, this is definitely one of the things we want to talk about. He wrote this. This came out on February 9th. I would say it's a sizable blog. I'm not as familiar with Matt Schumer, but Beth, Carl, I know you guys both are a little bit more than me. Certainly one of the voices in AI talking about what's coming. Maybe one of you can give me a little more background. Do you guys know, like, what's Matt Schumer's background? Do we know?
Yeah, he's the I think the CEO of HyperWrite.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't recognize the name, but yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense then. HyperWrite then Matt is, if that's who it is, and HyperWrite, for those that don't know that term, I always say this: HyperWrite, although this is not what the tool was built for, was the very first example I used on my computer of local computer use with AI. It was the first. It predates Claude Code. It predates most of those back in the day, and it was something that actually worked. You could actually see it. Predates Operator. You could go on and just use the computer, and it would sort of clunkily, if that's a word, go around and try to click on sites. But this, like I said, this predates any of the main ones we saw come out from both Anthropic and OpenAI. Okay, so Matt Schumer writes this article, and I have seen other posts about his before. Again, Carl, Beth, jump in where I'm missing parts here. But essentially, he's been a voice throughout the last several years. And so he has this blog called Something Big is Happening. And basically what he's pointing out to is saying, look, I feel like I just need to publicly say this out loud because maybe some people think I'm nuts. Maybe some people think like, oh no, it couldn't possibly change like this in the next 2-3 years based on where we are. Oh, I use AI a little. I find it to kind of be wrong a lot of times. He's basically talking to that audience. If you're sort of in the AI bubble with us, if you listen to this show most days, if you're in the live comments, you're in the bubble. Welcome, right? Welcome to the AI bubble. It's warm in here. But that also means to what we say in the bubble. That means that you guys are already at a higher level of understanding and comprehension of what's going on in the AI world because you simply care. You're listening to us. You're part of the conversation. This intrigues you in some way. But we do have to remember that the majority of the workers of the world are not in the bubble. Think of your friends and family. Think about people who work, alongside you or whatever. Do they talk and think about and pontificate about AI the way we do on this show or Matt Schumer does in this article? So without getting deep into it, because look, go read the article and we'll make sure, in fact, I'll put it in the comments right now. So for anybody that wants to play along, thanks, by the way, to everybody that's in our YouTube chat. If you want to join us live to have conversations, there's two ways to really join us for conversation. Let's just put it that way. You can technically join us live for conversation in LinkedIn, but we always recommend not doing that. If you want to be part of the show during our 10 o'clock Eastern hour, we always recommend going over to YouTube because you can see everybody else's comments in there. And honestly, that's just where the majority of people are. So come on, come hang out with us. Throw your comments in live. We bring them into the show. We do it all the time. A lot of times we'll throw them up on the screen, but we also just talk about them. So, come over and hang out there. If you can't join us live and you just want to be part of the larger conversation, I do want to, remind you guys that you can go over and join our free Slack community. It's called the Daily AI Show community. I know we're a wordsmith. And so you can get over that by going to the dailyishowcommunity.com and just signing up through the Slack link that you get there. Pretty simple. Doesn't cost anything. Won't cost anything. It's there as a resource for people to share their ideas and stuff like that. Okay. So Matt is saying that basically, here's how I know. Because it came from me. AI came from my job. He talks about how a year ago, 6 months ago, he was still in that phase of, it's doing pretty good with code, but it's not quite there. And then we had Dario maybe a year ago, maybe a little less than that, when he said by the end of this year, meaning 2025 at that time, 97% of all code will be written by whatever, right? AI or whatever. And people kind of laughed at him. Some people laughed. And you have to think like Dario knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Cut to today, as Matt's pointing out, 2 huge releases with both Codex and with Claude Code. And we're just in a different space today than we were, what, 6 to 8 weeks ago? I mean, 8 weeks ago puts us on December 11th. And I feel pretty confident saying just 2 months ago, we were just talking differently about this. And so now we have these new tools, and yes, the OpenClaws and things like that. But it brings up the discussion, right, guys, about like, is what Matt's saying the way we feel about this? I mean, is the way anybody in the comments feels about this, which is, are we looking at such a crazy ramp up at this point where now, as we know, both on Codex and Anthropic, AI is being used to coding improvements are being used to improve code. And this feels very much, Andy's not with us today, is very much like Prometheus type situation. So Max Tegmark spoke in the Prometheus is the AI, if you will. And over the course of a period of time, it improves upon itself and comes out with new versions 24 hours, 15, 12, 4, 2, right? Because it's speeding up. Are we starting to see this curve? And what it seems like is for the people who are in the know, they're saying, yep, we're there. And just because it hasn't touched your job doesn't mean it's not coming for it real soon. And so what do people need to do in order to be prepared for that? Does that feel like a general I don't know, Carl, you like oversimplified that great blog, but what was your sort of take, or Beth, what was your take on it?
I think like even before I read that blog, there was something I told one of the AI councils that we do accelerators with from one company. I told them what we've seen, I would say around November, really November for most people. Like we could probably do like most of this stuff for those really, really deep Claude code. You can do a bunch of this stuff. You can patchwork it together. I think with really what we're seeing is how I explained it for them was we so at the beginning we were just chatting with whatever LLM you pick, right? What outside of images, video, most use is you have a conversation. And in those conversations, you copy and paste things to whatever program you're using. Then those conversations, they sometimes put out files for you to use, right? And then slowly little by little, you get like connectors, right? You can connect to whatever tech stack you have. And most of it, again, was read analyze, right? I want to read my data in Salesforce. I want to read my data in whatever. And that hasn't come to a majority of tech stacks that aren't in the regular SaaS world, right? It's like if you look at the connectors that everybody has, it's mostly Jira, Asana, the things that most SaaS companies would use. But if you outside of SaaS, I don't see an In8, Vista, Trimble, Case Firm. If you don't even recognize any of those things, those are tech stacks that like accounting firms uses, law firms, construction. There's none of that, right? There's none of that. I think 2 points. One, we're getting to the point where like, it's not just talking to it and getting stuff back. It's now, hey, it's going out and doing stuff for me. That is a bigger shift, right? I think Claude Cowork, especially the one on Windows, just opens that door even more so because yes, it used to be just for Mac. You could have done it in Claude Code, right? For those like, oh, you could do this in Claude Code. Yeah, but majority of people will never, ever go to Claude Code. I'm sorry, as much as everyone's like, it's so easy. It's not. When you see that, would you ever look at a terminal user interface? You're like, what the? No one I know when you go, it's not going to happen. You're like, no, it's going to look, what the hell is this? So with people going to that, but now like with Cowork, and all these things are coming, OpenAI, Frontier, just OpenClaw is a more like advanced version of it where it's doing stuff for you without some comprehensive prompt, right? Yes, you should prompt it well, but do you really need to put all the stuff that you used to put in? Because you don't need to. You're like, hey, I want you to do this. Now I'm going to leave and I'm going to come back and it's done. Fantastic. Now I'm going to times that by 5. I'm going to do 5 of those things. And like the change is there, right? So that's one piece of it. I think like what Matt Schumer is talking about, where there's like, wait a minute, I don't chat with it. I actually have it really do stuff for me, like really, really do stuff, not in the cloud, on my desktop, in my files, where everything is located, right? And it's doing it really, really well. Holy smokes, it does it better than me. And then that's where the whole SaaS apocalypse comes into effect. And you're like, wait a minute. And then there's another small piece of it where they're talking about like the agent layer overstacking the why SaaS actually, the Paul Racer has a really good explanation of it, where like you're betting on the future, not on the present. And while they're making a lot of money now and they're beating revenue forecasts, it's like it's what this is actually moving towards. So I'm going to stop there. That's where like my take is, because it's like that is the profound shift. We all know that. We've seen that coming for a while. I think anyone in the space kind of like drew the conclusions. Now what's exciting is you can see it, you can demo it, and people can use it. However, most people are still in I'm going to use my chatbot to chat with.
Right. And that, I think, is the real piece that Matt is getting to in this. Like, hey, this is a time that if you're paying attention to this message, right? So if you know somebody who read the Matt Schumer article, and you do because you're listening to the show or watching the show, you're in a small group of people. And what he is saying is, if you have been just sort of playing with AI, just asking questions, getting information back, now is the time to start to really be intentional about building your skill with AI, because change is coming and we're still early. And it goes through a bunch of things talking about the way that the shift in AI capability has affected him and the way that he works. He's not pulling any punches. Get your financial house in order, but like have real what we call to cut like lay your cards on the table or come to Jesus moment. Like this is totally, we're all going to be completely honest about what we're seeing, and we're not going to hedge anything. Those kinds of conversations are important. He talked about like how he's recommending you have conversations with your kids. Is this no longer get good grades and get into college kind of moment, or knowing that the world that they enter out of college is going to be significantly different than it was. I've said this phrase on the show before because I hear it more in terms of climate conversations, but we are definitely in the age of discontinuity. What happened previously is not an accurate predictor of what's happening next.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest problem, right? Is that, go back a couple of generations. So, like I think a lot of people, I'll be 40, I'll be 48 next week. I have to think about my age. Like I'm even year 78, carry the 2, it's getting harder the older I get. But I'll be 48 next week. And so I say that to say that, my mom has since passed, but both of my parents would be, my dad is in his 70s, both my parents would be. So my mom never went to college. She went to high school and went out working in Brooklyn. That was what you did. My dad didn't go to college. He went to Navy Reserves and then TWA and then rose the ranks through aviation. My dad got his college degree from Embry-Riddle while full-time at Delta Airlines while I was in college between 96 and 2000. I don't remember exactly what year. That's when my dad got his college degree. He had gotten his associates earlier doing night school and things like that. So I have a brother, he's older than me. And so at least in our house, it was paramount that my brother and I were basically the first generation to go to college, right? And this is like a lot of families. It's like, you will go to college because this is the path. And I think you're right, Beth, not to bring it all the way into education. That's not my intent. You're right in the sense that even as I sit here today in the bubble, understanding, listening to you and Carl and Andy and Ann and whoever else comes in the door, and I have all these amazing, and everybody in our comments, and I have all these amazing people around me, and I pay attention. And as the parent, I can say of a 15-year-old, I don't really know what the right path forward is for my daughter. Because as Matt points out, we can't predict the future. We can make guesses. We can see the trajectory and go, "Ooh, God, it hasn't really been wrong yet." And it's speeding up. He talks about in the blog how it goes from every 7 months, but he thinks that's not taking in the initial data or the most recent data, and that could be as fast as every 4 months. Think about that. AI drastically getting better every 4 months. And that won't be the end of that. It'll go faster, and then it'll go faster again. And so to your point, Beth, we've always had, and Matt points this out too, we've always had the opportunity to adapt and pivot, because he points out in there, like, hey, if you had this job and that job was starting to go away, there was a runway of you transitioning into maybe blue collar or white collar. In fact, that's not that it went away, but that's what my dad did. He was blue collar and then went to white collar and had a very successful career in it all the way up through, executive level and things like that. But he started as a mechanic, on the floor, changing parts on airplanes, But he had that long, he could see the path in front of him. He had people who were mentors and foremans in his life that said, stay the course, Jim, do this, go that. Hey, I know you don't want to go do this job, but go do this job because it will add to this. And they could lay out, if he wanted them to, the next 20 years. And for more or less, they were probably correct over a 20-year period. That's one industry. That's one job. I get it. It's an N of one. But I think that's what we're all sort of talking about. What I hear Matt talking about, what I hear y'all talking about is, I can't even predict the next 4 months with accuracy. How in the hell am I supposed to help my daughter be prepared for a world where that's not possible? And it's going to move so fast. And it's a real world. It's a real thing for me. I don't have the answer to it. And that's why this is very intriguing to me.
So one of the things, Carl, go, because you also have a kid.
I guess because my daughter is around 10, I have a little bit more time to see where it kind of plays out, because in terms of elementary school, still another year and a bit, then you still have middle school, then high school. We can kind of see it settle maybe a little bit more, just to see where it's going. And obviously right now, for people would think, oh, your daughter is probably AI. I'm just no, not really. She uses it a little bit, but I'm just kind of letting her do her thing, right? I don't want to press any AI into it. Don't want to do anything because, right now it's I want you to learn how I want you to learn how to learn, right? So have them, let them do their thing. I think though, it has been very more profound the last 3 months for me, just in terms of, like I said, November, December, January, and it's accumulated with OpenClaw, but really you could see the flips in it, right? Claude for Excel, that Claude for PowerPoint, even GenSpark before that, right? It's all this stuff is now moving into it can do stuff for you. And I like all of you, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Most people and companies don't know Claude, don't know it exists. I'm sure ChatGPT and Gemini will have something. Everyone's leaning this way. OpenAI has the frontier, but they also have a whole bunch of other companies and people that want to be able to do this, to do stuff, right? So I'm just thinking how if we just take a little bit of a step back before looking forward or getting excited for the next model, like, isn't it kind of amazing what has occurred and what we can do now with it? Just amazing as in it's like, this is crazy that I don't have to do this stuff. Like, this stuff does it for me and I can just leave and I can come back. Like, this is what I did yesterday. I did this process where download from website, take 2 Word docs, put it into folder, have it analyze it, create a new Word doc, put it into my Notion as well. Like, just that I used to do that manually, but even the things that I would use AI for, that whole step, I just asked Claude Code to do, and I walked away and I did some laundry and I came back, done. And I was like, it was just a cool moment because you're like, that's really cool to, and then I can spin that, go advance teams or whatever. You can do that 10 different ways, but it's just neat if you think about what you just did.
Yeah. I mean, look, Claude Code's been working all morning and so have I, and we're not working on the same stuff.
Exactly.
I'm working for scale, then Claude is working for me. So it's like, and then here's a bigger one. I'll even go one step further with this, Carl. So how many weeks ago was it that you had to spin up your own server for OpenClaw? Now there's MyClaw. This is the dashboard. It spun up its own server for me, isolated everything for me. And it's like, hey, Brian, what do you want your agents to do?
Wait. You got a claw? How do you now share that? Hey,
MyClaw.ai. You guys didn't get that message? No? Yeah, I went active with it, and so it spins up. Basically, OpenClaw came and said, hey, listen, we realized that doing the whole server thing is kind of a pain in the ass. So kind of like Lovable did with their Superbase like cloud. MyClaw was just like, yeah, we'll just do it for you. Here's the introductory pricing plans. So I can actually show you that on here. Now, don't ask me what the hell I can do with it. All I know is that I got an introductory for like $29 a month for this max, which is supposed to be $79 a month. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Give me eight CPUs, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 160 GB solid state drive, and let's just see what happens. So this is like playtime, I couldn't tell you what, unless maybe Jeff or Gareth or somebody's going to tell me what I could build in here. But I'm not even kidding. Like it's like this is
so Brian,
difference.
Because the Super Bowl was I wrote a post about this really quickly this morning. So I'm like, because the Super Bowl was boring, I was like, oh, okay, you know what I'm going to do? And so I needed to build this kind of app for our business. So I've been putting it off for so long, just lots of stuff. So it's like, hey, I'm going to go to a Claude Code. I'm going to go to Opus. I'm going to go to, Codex. And I'm just going to OpenClaw and be like, you know what? I already have a PRD, TDD of these things because I already did it. I just haven't executed it. So I said, you know what? Build this app using PRD, TDD. Go knock yourself out. And then I'll go grab some drinks and then had all 3 just run. And I'm like, you know what? Just run it.
Yeah.
And then like it just came back with all the different things. And it was just like all 3 of them built the app, right? All of them built the app, tested it all. It generally works. The only one, like, it was kind of funny because OpenClaw connected it to Superbase and did it was like, hey, this is actually a legit working app. It didn't, all I needed to do was, I didn't give it access to Vercel, but I'm like, you can probably deploy this. But yeah, to try that, like think of an app and have all 3 build it and just see, hey, how fast can this, and this build your fun app, and away you go, and just do it.
I should say, Gareth said, I tried going on to that. My online security alarms went crazy.
I think that's AI.com because Gwen asked about AI name, and I agree. My online security was like, no, don't go to AI.com.
Somebody told me that was just a wrapper. Basically, it was just a wrapper.
It's claiming your handle in some way, like it's getting in early on Twitter and getting whatever it is, or your world coin eyeball scan. I don't know. It seems like that kind of thing. Like you're getting it early to get your identity as one of the first series.
I have that app, the WorldCoin with the thing, but I have to go over to Orlando. I think that's still the closest place to me that will do with the orb. But they've expanded that so much. You don't really hear Sam talk about that as much with the orb and doing your humanness check essentially. And some people could decide whether they think that's cool or not. I'm not here to judge or tell you. MyClaw, what I will tell you with MyClaw.ai, and I know very little, so I will continue to come back on this so I don't derail the conversation. But I'm not going to share this because I might end up giving away, if I share it on screen, I might give away stuff I don't want to, such as gateway tokens and stuff. And so I want to be careful there. But basically, it's set up the gateway access. It's telling me uptime. It's telling me last change to refresh. It's telling me everything I have on it. And what it's allowing me to do is isolate and only share, just like you would with a virtual private server, what you want to share within this gateway. So basically, the way I looked at it was like, OpenClaw is solving for its own two main problems. One, it's difficult unless you want to sit and work through it like Carl has done and understand it and stuff. So it's sort of prohibitively hard. And two, people were, directly connecting it, I guess, to their main systems, or they were buying Mac minis. And this gets around all of that because this is isolating and spinning up the server on your behalf for you. You're paying for that, right? Obviously. And then I would imagine I will be able to do quite a few things in here. I just have to think through what is my first test use case, and maybe Carl, Beth, you guys can help me figure it out. But what's a good test use case of always on agents? Because not everything is an always on solution. It needs an always on solution. So it's either just pinging or scraping or something like that.
Here's a good one that I use, and this is what I use for Pulse, and I love Pulse for this again, is every single day it comes up for me a use case for the various thing. So I want a use case, a non-technical business use case for Gemini 3, Visual Spatial. Then I want one for, I added one Claude plugins, Claude Code plugins. Then I want one for Claude Code. Again, all of these non-technical business applications. So every day it would scour. I think you can do better with OpenClaw with this, or MyClaw, is that I want you to go and find use cases for that's like, maybe in your case, like sales type uses for all these things, and have it come up with your report. And then I don't know how well you're willing to feed this. It's like feed it scaled information and then have it no, but then it would have that as its memory, but then it would be able to connect the two it would be able to proactively do it rather than now. Maybe instead of scaled, why don't you have a pretend company like scaled, and then
that's what you have to do, basically.
Yeah. Whatever that isn't named scaled, but essentially is scaled, and then just have it do that, and then run that, and then you'll get a proactive. I think the best test is have it do something proactive that you don't have to trigger it, and then that to me is an awesome test for it.
I've seen people who are having their watching 24/7 TikTok, right? Because they want to be up on the trends and be able to put something out really quickly that's in the trend, or watching feeds in LinkedIn or X, right? So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what the people that you are interested in, what they're thinking, what they're talking about, and being able to move really quickly on that. And I wonder, could you just give the information that is already public about Scaled, like everything that's on the website, and not anything more private than that? And could that be helpful?
Yeah, I think, look, you're both right, but I think the right answer here and the easiest answer to not be in anybody's way is this. This is how I'll probably approach it with MyClaw. I might approach it outside of this because I don't know where I'm chewing through credits. I got to figure all that stuff out. But you're like, you're out of money or something like that,
That's the thing. Is that always on means always eating credits.
Right. So I'm trust me, I'm gonna crawl, walk, run this. But here's what I would say just real briefly. I will come up with a fake business. Then here's what I want to prove. All right, I already have the use case. I know what I want to do. I want to see if MyClaw can replace a BDR SDR. And the way that I would do that is I would say, okay, here is what a BDR SDR spends most of the day trying to do. Here is the fake company with a bunch of documents that I'll go create through like Gemini or something easier with a lower lift. This is what the fake company does. This is what they want to sell. This is what pain points they solve for, right? All the stuff I do in sales. And then what I would say is, okay, given that you have no leads, you've got no starting point, you have to find, validate the leads, get valid email addresses and phone numbers. You have to set up 7-day email sequences with multi-threaded touch points across LinkedIn or whatever. I need to know if Sally, the CRO, just posted on LinkedIn and what she posted about and what my follow-up should be. I need to know what the hyper-personalized email is that I should send out to this person based on this fake software and solution lined in with their pain points. I need you to read I'll maybe make a fake CRM. I need you to read the notes in the CRM, plus any emails, plus any transcripts, plus any call transcripts or whatever. And I need you to be able to synthesize that in a way that essentially goes about doing BDR, SDR, cold outreach, and getting net new opportunities and leads to be passed off. I think that's a worthy challenge because that's setting about agents and saying, go, watch, adjust. That's what always on sounds like to me, is like adjust to what's going on, because it's one thing to say, write this 7-part email sequence because we know these types of emails have traditionally good open rates. It's another to say between email 3 and 4, we just saw Sally post on LinkedIn, or there was just something that came out on a podcast, and we're already dynamically rolling that into this outreach sequence to be just in time, which essentially means that you're getting hyper-personalized outreach at scale. These are real problems. These are real things. And so that's something I think I would go at. And by the way, I'll just tell you with MyClaw and said, before we go any further, I don't know you yet, and I don't even know me yet. Let's fix both of those real quick. And it says, who are you? What should I call you? What's your deal? Role, company. What are you building? Whatever feels relevant. Who am I? I need a name, a vibe. Do you want to be buttoned up and professional, casual and sharp, unhinged but effective? I kind of feel like I want to go with unhinged but effective. Just to see what happens. That's not normally how I would do it, but that feels right. So I'm flexible. I should be something specific. So right there, just as I started the very first ever MyClaw prompt, it's coming back to me and saying, let's set the stage first, which is fine. So more to come on.
I feel like this is really, this part doesn't get talked about enough. We talk about the personas of the agents, but I want you to understand I am also personas, right?
Yeah.
So like buttoned up when we're pitching something for sure. A little more unhinged when I have to, talk to the musical improv team that I'm coaching, right? Like there are different flavors of me that I want my whatever it is to understand me, and that is part of why what I was doing and what I'm still doing is working with Claude Code to do a meta-analysis of how we're working together and make notes about me and the way that my brain thinks, not because I'm telling you how my brain thinks, but because I've done a brain dump and you can figure it out for yourself, and it's just better that way. And that's actually working. That's
I love that you do that. I think that you're so smart to spend the time up front to do that, because, how is that any different than writing a persona message or back in the day? Or isn't this always also still going to be part of onboarding, Beth, don't you think? Or just like initial, like, okay, Carl, your child is in elementary, so even go back a few years. Could you imagine that there's like, this is done at like pre-K or kindergarten level, when a child has developed enough of their own personality that certain characteristics and traits, I definitely know my child at that time had certain characteristics and traits that are still very much part of her at 15, 10 years later, right? So you wonder if as we move into this new sort of world of managing agents and everybody's sort of more at that project manager level. And by the way, I did say I was going to bring up Jeff's, man, it's buried now, but I do want to find Jeff's comment that he had earlier. Wait, Jeff, it's so buried now. I can't find it, but
keep talking. I'll do it.
Yeah. Thanks. I have to keep scrolling back. But anyway, as we become more of these project managers of things happening, like you say, Carl, hey, I'm going to go get a beer and watch the Super Bowl. Go take a shot at this website for me. Let's just see what happens. Right. Yeah. That is just fundamentally different than anything we've done in the past. And so Jeff had said, I'm not really a software developer anymore. I'm an agent manager, with a shrugging emoji. And I think, that's that comes up a lot. I also always thought of myself as a digital inventor. So letting go of the nitty gritty details and just get my idea made has been freeing. Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah.
I think Nate Jones had a good video on that where he was saying, I was like, a lot of these jobs are coalescing into one. And that one is you are managing essentially agents to do the work for you. Now there's a lot of nuances because there's a lot of work there, integration systems like that can't do it. Like even yesterday we were like, one client was taking us through, okay, this is what I have to do, or my team of project managers has to do. This construction company, they have to go into their their industry software. They have to find job codes, a job, look at if there's job codes. If there's job codes in there, download all the job codes, take those job codes and convert them to something else, and then turn them into a PDF and do a bunch of other stuff for them. And I'm looking, the agents we have today can't do that just because, one, they cannot access those systems. Like I know people say eventually they will, but like right now they can't. They just, and yes, you could try agent mode or whatever, but it's so unreliable that you can't just do that. But then there's all these little nitty gritty things that they do. It's just too much like weird, like press button work. And it's not the same all the time. It's different, but like and it takes up so much time. And all three things they're looking at, it's like, there's nothing right now that you can do. Yes, you could do little bits and pieces here and custom GPT here or whatever here. But in reality, even an OpenClaw can't do that. It's just even the tech can't do some of the stuff that people do. So you do have to balance that because there are workflows and processes in companies that you'd think that is the most ridiculous thing to do, or that's a very complex task. Why do you do it? But people will still do it because it helps run the business. And if it doesn't, if they're not just going to wipe that out and rebuild something, even though we want them to, it's just too much intricacies involved with that. And this is not like a major corporation either, right? It's a mid-sized company. So while it's all exciting, there's a bit of like, hey, there's a reason for this. And we even got a note from a major grocery chain that we wanted to work with that said, hey, you know what? We'll probably get into AI late 2026, 27 because we just have a lot of stuff to do. Do I think that's a mistake? Probably. But you know what?
Yeah.
They have lots of stuff to do. There's a lot of things that they need to focus on.
Yeah.
Isn't just AI. There is their business to run, and 100%, we get that too.
And we can't guarantee that they are necessarily late. They may end up being just in time playing the waiting game. Exactly. We don't know. We can say all day long, every day that you don't get into AI, you just want to teach about data literacy. And I mean, and AI literacy, like that's true. But for them in that specific role, they just may roll the dice and nail it because the perfect solution for them in that industry may arrive 2 months before they were going to turn to you, Carl, and say, go build us something or whatever the case may be. And you'd be like, hey, couldn't have timed this better because of whatever, I mean, Nate Jones is once about like 200 lines of code. Yeah. Sink the stock market into a frenzy because it was for paralegal stuff, right?
Yeah. Contract review.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because like when I posted something, like one legal company just reached out immediately. And I was like, oh, that's pretty quick. And here's another thought too. Right now, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is actually more complex than, people are like, oh, it's so easy. It's like, no, really, it's not. It is not easy. Like for a regular person, when you start talking about it is not easy, right? There are people who are saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to take this training because it's way over my head. And we're at the very base level. So I think we also have to be very empathetic. Like some of the stuff that we're talking about isn't like easy. It is like there is things that you have to do, because one person, one accounting firm we're working with said it best. It's like, yes, we could be all learning this, but guess what? We're accountants. We're good at accounting. So that's what we want to do. And yes, there are tools that can make us better, but at the end of the day, our company is an accounting company. We want to do accounting for these companies. And there are a lot of things that go around that, but it's true. It's like, I have to audit all these companies. Yes, I could use Claude for Excel. Yes, I could do all that, but I still have to do that. And to think about managing agents to do that, like that's a big leap for me as an accountant who's been trained as an accountant, and I just want to do accounting, right?
But yes, but what is coming is the ability to manage that the interface is, hey, give me an analysis of this data and show your work, show the tables, right? So it's essentially you're doing the same thing.
Yes, but to learn that and to understand the concept and to trust it, to make sure it's reliable, that what I just said for a lot of people is like, that's a lot for me to do when I just want to do my job. And as much as we say, but it could do this, it could do this, it could do this, and it's easy to do it, and you just have to do that every single time, that managing partner's like, we get you, but at the same time, we're accountants. We're trained in accounting. That's how my mind works. That's what I'm going to do. And that's hard. Very, very hard. And I can see it. And trust me, we've gone to company, and so many times we've introduced tools that will, and they come back and say, yeah, I'm just too busy right now. Right. It's always, I'm too busy. I have stuff to do. I'd love you to learn it, but I'm too busy doing my job.
And I get that. So my mom was like a math phenom. She was one of those people who could look at a column of numbers and know what the answer was. And she had that experience of being like, she worked in a, I don't know, men's club somewhere. And she had me late, and I am very young for my advanced stage. Thank you very much. But she had the experience of moving from the handwritten numbers to adding machines. Like, this was way before computers or calculators, and that was more work for her. That took more time. That changed the process, but it didn't take more time for the rest of the people. Right? That was a better option for the other folks. And that's what's continuing to happen. And you can, like, if she had stayed, like, no, this is how I'm going to do it, the work world moves on beyond.
I get that. But it's the only thing, though, here is we're dealing with something that is exponentially faster than anybody has ever seen. That's fun. We have to be very empathetic about the people who want to just do their job.
Yeah.
Right. There is going to be that. And company after company after company, we see that. It's like, holy smokes, there's a lot to think about and to do. And yes, we could say, just start, just do this, just do that. But like, yeah, I have other stuff to do. And at the same time too, I have family obligations, personal obligations. There's only so much time in my day. Though I have, like, yes, everyone needs to do that, but it isn't as easy as we say.
Oh, I don't think it's easy. It's it's like literally changing how people experience themselves. And in fact, if we go back to the Matt Schumer thing, there were a bunch of posts over this weekend of people, and like high level people. They were not names I recognize, but they're people like who worked in DeepMind and like Andre Karpathy level people, I would say, who were writing kind of their grief post of I just had an experience of coding this weekend where I realized I will never code by hand. And I'm feeling a grief or a sadness about that because something that I love to do that I was really good at, right? Like this is like, I am a great person because I am really good at this thing, has now been democratized so that everybody is good at it. And the value of being good at it has shifted.
Yeah.
That is absolutely happening. I think one of the reasons we're having this conversation is because it's clear in the tech world that it's happening, and it's less clear for the accounting firm. And like, I am super empathetic about that, and also don't want people to get caught unawares.
But they will be.
Yes. Because they're going to think, and here's the reason why. And maybe this is a great way to sort of wrap up this conversation. The people are going to believe that because they're going to believe there's some chasm, some moat, that they're sitting in their castle and AI is on the other side of the moat, and they've got double thick walls and they're tall and they got the archers and they're sitting in their castle and going, I can see AI and it has taken over that coding castle over there. And I saw over at the little, paralegal castle, it took that one down, whatever. But that's okay. I have this moat. And it's because they're implying something that they don't think AI can do, or it's doing poorly today, such as empathy, right? Like AI, this happens to be every single week when I create conundrums. It is a struggle to get a really good conundrum because right now the models struggle to put on their human hat and understand what a good conundrum was. And I have done over 50 of them at this point. Like, this is a weekly struggle where I have to push back and go, that's an okay thing. But one of your options here is a clear yes or no from a human, and the AI gets it wrong all the time. Right. So like, I can look at that and go, it doesn't get the humanness. That's where the scary part is, to your point, Carl, is it's because they think they have something special. It's either personality or things that AI doesn't particularly do well today, or they think they have a skill set that AI hasn't particularly touched today, and they think they're Esta and stink because nothing would imply that they are perhaps in trouble or might be in trouble over the next 2-3 years. And when you listen to Matt or you listen to these other folks talk about those, like, it's sad to think what I did is no longer something that makes me unique. That's going to happen to a lot of people. Will it touch everybody? No, you might be the one. You might be the one with a desk job that just somehow navigates the next 3 or 4 years, and AI does not fundamentally touch your job. I'm sure there'll be many, many use cases of that. And those are the people who will raise their voice the loudest and go, not me, not me. But I think the majority of people are going to be caught off guard when AI suddenly and quickly can do something 3 months or 4 months later that it didn't previously show any signs of capability to do. We're now at a point where we're making drastic leaps and bounds multiple times per year. We're past I might get a GPT-5. Honestly, who cares? Who cares if 6 comes out this year? That's not my top concern with AI. I don't care if GPT-6 comes out this year. It's like table stakes. So that used to be our biggest thing that we talk about. What is the newest model coming out? And now we're like, yeah, the models matter. What matters more is how they interoperate with each other, how these agent systems build, how they communicate with each other. And that is now the thing that I'm caring about, is what systems are people building and how do they play? The MyClaw, if that's what in fact it is, I don't know, right? So like, that's where I am in 2026. But I still think a lot of people are like, I don't know, the models are okay. The last time I used it, 6 months ago with any real effort in my job. It just didn't do the job.
And I think that's the change in thinking, because it's like, with any other software, you're like, hey, if it doesn't work here, it would take a while for it to work the way I want it to. And we're not used to have something, hey, in 3 months, oh, it actually works. It doesn't. It used to not work, but now it works because the models got better or whatever it is. I think, though, there was one post today that really got me, because one of my friends, he posted something saying, like, if you looked at LinkedIn, and it's more a broad comment about it. If you looked at LinkedIn, there's so many. If you don't do AI now, like, it's such alarmists. Like, if you don't do this, even Matt Schumer's thing too is a bit of it. It's like, and there's a group of people who understandably say, hey, every single time there's always like, this is the change. You should be doing this. I should be. To a point where I'm like thinking about it like a teenager's like, well, you're telling me that I should, so I'm not going to. I don't want to, right? Because everyone's telling me, or everyone's shouting that I should, because I'm going to tune it out, or I'm just not going to do it. Yes, there's obviously negatives to doing that. I just think also there is a huge push amplified by like creators that like everything's changing, or you need to pay attention. But if it's you need to pay attention every week, I'm not going to start paying attention anymore, right? I've drowned out my own message because it's no longer. It's every week. It's something to pay attention to. I just don't have time for that. So it's a very interesting thing, because in one side, it's like, yeah, you better be paying attention. But on the other side, too many people have been screaming that thing over and over again that it's lost its message. And it's like, it's just, oh, okay, just another AI thing that's happening. Okay.
Right. And I want to say that for me, and maybe I don't think we are the pay attention show, but if we have been, I want to be clear that this pay attention is a different caliber, because things shifted last week and the week before in a way that is discernible if you are like using it, and are not discernible if you're not. Andy and I talked about this as like, I feel like at the dog in the room of the humans, and like, you didn't hear or smell that. What is wrong with you people? And it's because, of course, the humans can't smell or hear as well as the dog. I like the image of the castle with the moat, Ryan. And I think what I want to say to the people who feel like, okay, I have a really strong castle, I have a really great moat. The issue isn't people coming to take your business in those defenses that you put together.
Mm-hmm.
It's that the road bypasses you. It's that no one's coming to your castle anymore. So the moat and the fortifications aren't helpful. And that's the image that I would like to get across. And I realize
they're not attacking you, they're going around you. You're no longer somebody worthy of attack.
And what I'm remembering, Carl, is you telling the story, and I don't know who you were talking to, maybe bankers, but you were talking to them, and they kind of said, instead of like, how could we adapt, how much time do we have? Right? They were now trying to figure out, can they check out? Am I remembering it correctly?
Yeah. So it's funny, because one of the things that, it was a one lawyer who just said this, is like, we have until regulators or the regulations allow AI to be accepted as a final, like, say, or an approved, like, approver, essentially. It's like, because right now all the regulations has to be done by a human. But if any of those regulations say, oh, an AI can do just as good of a job, and I don't know when that will be or if that will be, then they're like, we are dead. Because once that happens, then you don't need a lawyer, because the law doesn't require it. You just need an AI to approve that this thing has been reviewed or whatever. Once that happens, it's like, we're dead. Like, he was like, we're dead. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting comment from a lawyer. But I was like, he's kind of right too, because it's like a lot of this stuff is like, but first of all, I don't like in terms of law, that legal, like the law itself and how laws are made, like by that, it takes it takes forever. You'll probably have like 7 or 8 government shutdowns before this is even considered, right?
Okay, but
Shots fired from Canada.
Yeah. You have been firing shots at us for the past 2 years.
Whoa.
We are now friends with China. We like our Chinese like friends. We're kind of like, you're like, not so much friends with you guys because you
guys will have the coolest EV cars, that's for sure.
Yes, we will.
And we don't agree that your relationship with China will eliminate the Stanley Cup. That was a different statement that was made by someone who represents the country, but not what all the country believes.
I'm a this one. Fun.
The idea here is, I do think that what we're talking about is that forever, you said that's going to take forever. Forever doesn't mean forever anymore, right? Things have sped up in a way that forever doesn't mean next generation. Forever might mean 5 years. It might also mean 6 months, depending on what the barriers are and how quickly they can. I
think we all kind of know those, like in terms of creating law that applies to current state, that has always and will always be. There's such a delay, right? It just is. Yeah. Unless something catastrophic happens and then there's a ridiculous, like, pendulum swing. I think Bernie Sanders said he's going to introduce a law that puts a moratorium on data centers, which we'll have. If that passes, if it passes, I don't know how it'll pass, but like, that'll have a big impact on like AI progress. That's a pretty significant detriment, wouldn't it be? Although you could just come to Canada again. If you live in Canada, no problems. With no problems at all. You can bypass your own laws, and we can cool it here. We're negative, and then by the way, don't blow up our bridge or whatever kind of weird things that you're thinking about. This bridge that was like, where does that come from?
I don't even know what the bridge was. Like, for all the people who were saying, like, I took a weekend off from AI and I no longer know what the conversation was, I was like, bridge? What? Like, I don't know what that was. But I do think that what we're talking about. All right, so let's go back to Carl. You showing us like the wall of phones or the walls of computers that are running agents. And so let's say that
not really agents. It's just it's a human agent factory out in Bangladesh and just a bunch of people doing it. It's not actual real agents doing it. Yes. Okay,
but you're laughing about that. But is that also something? Well, I guess I don't mean that the human agents aren't the real agents, but could one human manage a wall of computers and who are running agentic processes, and that be part of what is allowed in the regulation? So this isn't monkey fingers. I don't know. This is like just a human in the room, because that's where we start to get, okay, so the regulation says this, it has to be done by a human. Now we define what done is. And as a human, can I manage 5 agents? Seems reasonable.
You could.
Can I manage 10? Can I manage 50? And are we still working within the regulations? That's where.
Could you manage 5 agents who are managing 20 agents each? You probably could, right?
So if I could today. I mean, I couldn't. Give me a week. But I think what we're talking about is that the tech is there and there are people who are getting those results. Also, Gareth in the chat was like, didn't some giant number of people's private data get exposed because they set up OpenClaw wrong? Yes. So I'm not saying that you right now should go out and manage 5 of those without doing some research or making sure that's okay.
Are you guys cool to wrap this up?
Yeah, no news today, just this.
Yeah, this is a reverse Wednesday. We used to do all news on Wednesday, then we swap it, and now it's Wednesday. We did zero news, and we only talked about this. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta go deep, and we do love doing that. And this was such a. I mean, I appreciate you, Carl, for sharing it because I really did enjoy this. Again, this article. It's called "Something Big Is Happening." It's by Matt Schumer. You can go to shumer.dev/something big is happening with dashes in it. Google it. It'll come up, that. So I would say go check out that article and don't AI summarize it. I would suggest reading it. It's worth it. If I'm focusing on something, I always have music playing in the background if I'm not doing this show, and I actually pause Spotify so I could just put the blinders on and really read that blog, because I was like, okay, I want to deeply understand what he's doing, not passively, and I don't know, for me, it made a difference. So anyway, go check that out. I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. It's interesting. That's why we do the show. That's why we started it so many years ago, was because we knew AI was going to move so fast. I don't know if we knew it was going to move this fast, but we knew it was going to be moving fast. And the one thing we knew was it was not going to be acceptable to do a daily show, morning show, a podcast, call us whatever you want, a live show. It wasn't going to be acceptable to do this once a week or once a month. If we really, really wanted to keep our finger on the pulse and take our audience along with us for the ride, we needed to talk about this daily. Hence the daily AI show. So we are here Monday through Friday. This is the first time you've ever found us. Welcome. Glad you're here. But we do have a show Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. We have had that for over 650 shows now. That goes back 2.5 years-ish. So we have not only content here. Yeah, Beth.
I just want to say we are also humans. This was a great comment. Thank you. I kind of expected this to be a bunch of AI systems talking. Super disappointing to find humans. We love that. So we commit that we are talking about AI, but we will always be the human side of that.
We will. Yeah. Except for the conundrums, which does have some. That's just our Saturday thing. And I always let people know at the beginning of that show. That's after my intro, that's two AI co-hosts talking, but that's always fully disclosed. So you know what you're getting into with the conundrum episodes on Saturday morning. It's in addition to our live shows. Okay, that's it. Got to wrap it up. Got other things to do. Have a great day. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow, but people will. We'll have co-hosts. We'll have a show. It will go on. So come back for the rest of the week and make sure you hang out with us, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thanks, everybody in the comments. Bye.